Okay, hi there. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about using Bulma with Svelte. And there is a component library called Svelma, which I started out using, but I think it's still early on in development. And I was getting some errors that I couldn't figure out how to fix. So if you want to help out with this project, if you like Bulma, you can help the Svelma project. So here it says very early work in progress. But once this gets more mature, maybe I'll make a video about that. Also, I have a Patreon if you want to support me or like and subscribe. That helps a lot. Okay, so anyway, this is just going to be a Bulma video. And what I did is made a little habits app. I just listened to a syntax episode where they talk about that. So that's what the inspiration comes from. So here, all it does is you have a habit. So let's say I want to floss every day. So floss teeth, and then I add a habit, and then it'll slide in like that. So let's say I don't want this one. And this looks kind of weird. It's kind of buggy, but I click that, and I'm just left with floss teeth. Okay, and then you complete it. Streak goes up. If I come back tomorrow, so here if I change the day like that, and then I refresh, I come back to tomorrow, streak 1, week 1, complete, and so on. And it's storing to local storage, so it's able to like persist even when I delete it and come back to it. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm not going to be doing much typing in this video. I'm just going to show you what the code looks like, and then you can play around with it. So it's pretty simple actually. Well, like all things considered, it's just app.svelte, habit.svelte, and habit.js. Habits.js is just the store. And what you'll need to do is npm install Bulma and rollup. What's it called? Rollup plugin post CSS. Plugin post CSS. This is on the Svelma site. Where was it? Plus installing Svelma. No, not here. Under GitHub. So npm install Bulma, rollup plugin post CSS, and then you'll import post CSS rollup plugin into your rollup.config.js, and then you'll add this post CSS here into your plugins. So that's what you gotta do. Okay, so this video is gonna be a bit slower paced than others. So yeah, you'll see here, rollup, this is what I've installed in Bulma. Okay, so here we are at that svelte. This is what it looks like. We've got a container, and the container is just max width of 888 pixels. If you want to know what to install, right there, minus Svelma, unless you want to use it. Okay, let's get rid of those. Okay, so there's this container. It's 888 pixels. Once you get smaller, it gets to a 95 width on smaller screens. Margin auto, so it's in the middle. Display flex, direction column, align item center, etc. Okay, so that's container, and then that's just a header because Bulma resets h1 to being small. So this is just to make it look more like a actual header. So we got a header here. We've got a field. So Bulma field will make it. So if I didn't have that, it would make it wider. Oh, let me start this over again. Yeah, it'll make it wider and just not look as good. Let's see. Okay, well, I guess it looks fine, but it doesn't have padding, and I think there's some other things it gives you. Anyway, so field, you wrap that around a label and an input, just so that's all together there. And you get that right here. There, it gives you some like padding or margin. And then I have a label and then an input, class input, just makes it look like this. And that's a Bulma class. And then I'm binding this value to the new habit name. So whatever I type here will be stored in new habit name. And then when I add the habit by clicking add habit, then it will set habits to, it'll do ... habits. So it includes all of the ones before, and then it adds this one on here. So it'll be a streak of 0. The name will be whatever they put here, and then it'll be reset to 0 or to an empty string after that. And then last day completed is going to be today. So, it's going to be yesterday. Because if I add it, we're going to pretend like I last finished it yesterday. So when I complete it, that's what it looks like today. If that makes sense. It's like if this were today, then I wouldn't be able to complete it today. So we make it yesterday. And this here is just the day is just 0 to 6. And this isn't perfect. So for example, if someone does something and they come back a week later, then their streak could continue because I'm just keeping track of the day of the week. So like Sunday is 0, etc. Or Monday is 1, blah, blah, blah. So today is greater than or equal to 1, then today minus 1. Okay, that's a little bit confusing. I have a function here. Yeah, I think I refactored that to make it a little bit clearer what's going on. So this is yesterday. So if today equals Sunday, then yesterday would be 6, which is Saturday. Otherwise, it's just today minus 1. Okay, so that adds a habit. We've got remove habit. So here we pass in a ID, and remove habit gets sent down to the habit component. So where's that button? Here, remove habit, habit index. Okay, so with all of the, right here, with all of the habits, it loops through them. It passes down the habit index, the habit, and then this remove habit function. Okay, so the remove habit function will pass its own index to here, and then it'll remove it and it'll just filter it out. So, oh, whoops, I was playing with it, and this could all just go in one line, and there's no need for this intermediate x. So if index doesn't equal ID, then you can keep it. So the ID is the one you want to get rid of. So if they do match, this will be false, and then it will filter it out. Okay, so that's remove habit. There might be a better way to do that so that you get a cooler, like when I click this, it'll go away from here. Right now, if I click it, it like goes down here, and then. So if you know a good way to fix that, it'd be awesome. Wait, this is nothing. That wasn't working. Okay. So that's remove habit. Here we have habits.subscribe. So let me look at the store. So we have a today store, which is just a readable store today. And then we have a habits store, which is a writable store. And get habits, what it does is it looks in the local storage to see if habits exists. If it doesn't, then it'll just give this dummy one. Or that means if this is false, there's nothing. So this would be null if there's nothing there. So or means if this is false, then set it to this instead. It's just a dummy, and it just, if anyone comes and changes the code, they can kind of see what does a habit look like. And then this is resetting the streaks to 0. So if the habit.lastDayCompleted isn't today or yesterday, that means it was 2 days ago, and that means they failed their streak. And so their streak goes back down to 0. And yesterday is just this function here. Okay, so those are the stores. App.svelte, I think I've covered everything there. Click add habit, yeah, and then just the habits. Okay, so last thing to go over is the habit component. So here, let me delete that. I'm using fly. So import fly, import today habits. Those are the two stores. And then there, it's getting passed in these 3 as props. Completed today. So if today equals last day completed, then it was completed today. And then the color, you can change this if you want. So if it was completed today, it's going to be primary, which is that green. And if it wasn't completed today, like this, it's going to be that secondary color. Okay, so and transition here, fly, it'll fly in, fly out. Maybe if I just do in, it won't do that weird thing. Like since it's acting weird as it goes out, Maybe let's do that, and then, okay, yeah, I mean, that's not ideal, but it seems less buggy at least. Okay, so it's going in at random times, so if you have more of these, and I refresh, then they kind of come in at random times. You could also make this so that you can see them all come in, like make them, I don't know, shorter, or I can't really make it shorter, but you could like put one here, one here, one here, one here, or something. Not sure. Okay, so so function completed. So when you click on it, then you say habit.lastDayCompleted is today. The streak goes up by 1, and then you set the store at the habit index to that habit so that it gets put into the store and can update everywhere. And then we use this here to make sure it updates. So if you just change it at the index, it doesn't know that that this array has been changed. It's just changing it at the pointer. Like, yeah, it's just the weird behavior for updating lists. So this will make sure it triggers and repaints and updates the DOM. Okay, so that's completed. And then here what we have is class is tile. So these are tile classes. The color, which is just the primary or secondary. But there's also like the normal ones like warning, danger, info, success, is 6. So it's just half the size. You need to put that it's a notification. And then is vertical makes it flex column so that you can boop, 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 go down like that. Okay. Yeah, here's just the name, and here's just one dot whatever, streak, the week. So this way, right now, the progress bar, the value is habit.streak modulo 7. So once it gets to 7, it'll go back down to 0. So this is kind of keeping track of the week. So you could change this also, but since you don't know when the streak will end, you're not really getting to anything here. But one thing you could do is like once it gets to 7, you could update something and like add a new feature so that it adds motivation for the user. Or you could do something like maybe make the duration like shorter the higher the streak goes. You can make it really long at first, and then the streak will get faster and faster and faster. Like this will come in faster and faster. Or you could make the color difference. You could update the theme. There's a bunch of stuff you could do whenever they get up to, once they fill this bar. So you can make the tiles bigger, I don't know, anything you want. Okay, so progress bar is danger, and is danger, that's the red color that we have here and there. I tried to get the progress bar to animate, but you would, I think it'd be best if you use like a tween store, but I just left that out just to keep this a bit simpler. So if it's been completed today, it's going to show this button. If it's not, if it hasn't, then it's going to be this button. So you have completed versus not completed. Okay, yeah, that's about it for this. If you make it smaller, there's this other bug. Well, not bug. I mean, these bugs that I'm talking about is just because I don't know how to do it right. And it gets smaller because complete is shorter than this. So I thought by putting is 6, that would keep them all the same, but I was wrong, so. Yep, okay, so let me just, well, it would take too long to show you, but to test it, you can like go through here and change the date so that it goes to the next day, and then refresh, and then it's as if it's the next day. Okay, and then you can see what happens when you get to 7 if you wanted, but I'm not going to do that. There's one last thing I wanted, yeah, so local storage, I think I skipped over this. Basically, habits.subscribe, so you subscribe to this store, whenever it changes, you write it to local storage at habits, and then right here it just gets parsed. So, and you need to store it as JSON, so it's a string rather than an object. So, okay, yeah, I think that's all. Let me know. So, yeah, let me know what you think of this format without me typing or anything and just talking about it. It's maybe a bit more boring, I don't know. But some people might prefer this way. So any feedback you have, let me know, and that is all.